Took you long enough to wake up. Here. This is the only thing I could find that wasn't molded or filled with cancer-causing preservatives ingredients.
Gee, thanks. A food snob as well. You're more of a brat than a...
My father was a nutritionist counselor. That was until he uncovered the truth of many things that were placed in our foods. Funny how we trade our mortality for shelf life and cheapness. Thanks to the tobacco companies.
Don't know about cheap. Everything price-wise is higher than a kite. I'm so pissed off that they removed the onion petals from the Arby's menus years ago.
That's an odd way of
The
saying.
point is, I gotcha, homie. I gotcha. This inflation hurts the nation big time. And the tobacco fam just be getting us hooked on more than some dried vibes for real, for real.
Please, for the love of God, don't speak that way again.
What? We need to know how kids say it nowadays.
Need I remind you, these kids in our age group, respectfully, are the people that we find hang bodies, burned flags, stoned people, and a bunch of lunkheads because of their compromised views and chasing us to the middle of who knows where.
Man, you sure know how to be a bundle of sunshine. Thanks for breakfast, by the way. Did you get something to eat?
Yeah, I did early this morning.
Now, we both know that's not true.
What's that supposed to mean?
Sunshine, I've been hiding in this Christian center long enough to know that the last known box of pancake mix that you used had only enough to feed 2 people. And judging from the size of them, I got plenty left over. And before you go making an excuse, you better rethink about explaining the preserved garbage to me before you go anorexic on me.
And why do you care if I eat something or not?
Because... Damn, that hurts. If we are to endure this messed up common factor of a functioning dystopian society we are living in, then we need the strength to escape if needed.
In the word we, do you mean plural, the royal signature, or the French word?
In a way, I'm fulfilling my end of the deal. Or have you already forgotten about it and hope to run while I was in a food coma?
Seems tempting now that you mentioned it.
The point is, I may have been a killer in the past, but I had a moral compass too. Well, at least since I've been clean from an experimental drug that turned me into a killer.
Your papers on the table took the liberty to tell me as much.
You're taking this well. And yet, you're not scared. Perhaps all those dark romance books finally made it into prison libraries after all.
Please. I read some of them briefly while in the private academy in prison. Even then, my standards are still high and beyond this day.
Honors, kid?
Mm.
Oh, cut the fake humility. From what I've seen and heard, you are proud of that big, beautiful brain of yours. But the one thing I can't understand is how you landed in juvie.
That is not of your concern.
Says the lady who dug into my release papers and fed me despite the facts. So, what were you locked up for? Getting caught with the headmaster or Mistress Sun?
No.
Drugs?
Amateur guess.
Getting all the test answers, addresses, student files, and every little dirty secret that would expose everything.
I wish that was the height of what I... No. I believe Sydney had done what had to be where she landed.
I don't follow you, Sunshine.
Well?
Wait. What time is it?
What?
No, seriously. What time is it?
25 after 6 p.m.? Why?
Oh, good. There's still time.
What are you doing?
There's this underground radio station that constantly changes stations to keep us tabs on what's going on.
If it's so secretive, why the radio? And what does an old vintage cookbook have to do with it?
Dr. Cincinnatus came up with a secret code where you need to find a station that the show will be in coordinate with. There's a set of numbers that represented the number page. There's a set of numbers that represented the page number, which according to this is in volume 5, which will be in the desert category. Let's see. It should be... aha! Here it is.
Sweet potato milk bread?
Yes, but if you think of the range time it takes to cook, it gives you the station. So, from 35 to 45 minutes, it must be in the station. So it must be in the 95th station area. And the cups of flour calls for adding the egg amount to 1.
Welcome, wayfaring
Yes!
strangers.
Here we go.
Unless you are a wayfaring friend, we are so thrilled that you are here to attend. I'm your host, DJ Multicolor Miller Marco Montana. The host represents all, because let's face it, it's better to be multi than plain Jane and Joe.
Always been a mouth.
Shush.
Now for those who just tuned in, you're probably wondering, multi, why the plain old radio and why the book codes to find the currency? Well, my dear little lambs, as all well predicted, Big Brother is watching, and social networking is more willing to make fairy tales than Walt Disney and his company did in the better time of their lives. So, if ever need to find the next station, look for the clue related to today's
So,
topic
this is
and
the
find
story
the numbers in
of-
books. Not just books, but
What do you call it?
booklets,
Speakeasy.
if need be.
Ah, there we go. Speak
In
season.
the world, no one cares.
How could you not know what a speakeasy is when you told...
And even the fairy tale things fault that are so undecided. Some of the Veritas Knights who had been persecuted for their actions were found dead strung by the flag which they were too proud to support without understanding the methods behind them. Now, I do not judge their way of upbringing, but by having them step down from the wizard life, regardless of their choices in the past, it is sad that they result in violence because of common sense. I can assure you, my little lambs, that their deaths will not be in vain. Yet, I am personally disappointed that no further action has been taken for our citizens to stop the madness in a transparent grove of matter. But you're not here for my bantering. You're here because our dearest doctor has a secret message as she is on a journey of dictatorship.
What?
Now, mind you, newbie listener who may be saying, what? Or, a dictator? Dude, Montana, are we on the right station? I can assure you, my dear wayfarer, you are hearing it all at the correct station. Now, listen closely, class. Dictators are not always so joyous or thrilling to run the nation with an iron fist at the cost of its people like... Now, I'm sure you're anticipating what the beloved doctor has to say about recent events. To which I say she has, for the doctor has sent us an audio statement along with her secret interview with...
What happened? No. I need to know.
Relax.
I need to know how to...
Relax, will you? Try extending the antenna.
She's not like the other. She's not like the other. Zoltar.
Excuse me?
She can fix it. You won't miss a thing. Just don't.
Hey,
Don't.
Daniel? Are you...
No! No. You may have taken my sketchbook, but you won't take away this window to the outside world.
But the radio.
Zoltar needs to know. He needs to see how we can eradicate them all. Those who got us where we are, we need to kill them. He told us we would be in higher rank if we snapped the heads of the cobras that they unleashed into this nation for their benefit.
Who's Zoltar?
He's a force of darkness that was inflicted upon me due to a choice I had no say before taking the drug that they
Do you want me to fix it? Daniel? Do you want me?
cannot stop them. Zoltar said that the loyalty to one's tribe is too strong to overturn. They are all blind.
The radio. I mean, I can fix the radio for all of us, Daniel. But I'm going to make sure that we listen to what's going on. But to make it work, I need to take the radio from you. Look, we have a world to save, right? Right? But to do what
Don't say his name!
Okay. Okay. Easy. Easy. What I mean to say is for him to eradicate the enemies, we all have to listen. But we can't do that if I can't fix it. We find the solutions, not sitting in our problems. Okay? Good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you both. Now we just pull this up, adjust the area here, and there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you just gonna sit there, or do I need to coax you with annoyance?
Sorry. Been under the weather lately.
Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot that you were recently had an emergency, and I mean, it's just. Are you good? I mean, do you need anything? 'Cause if you need to go home, I totally
No, I'm good. Thanks. You've worked on this new draft for months, and it always gives me great pleasure to be able to help.
Shameless flirt.
Not flirting, just truthful. Yet, I would like to tell you about the two important matters that fit swimmingly well with your circumstances in this scene.
And what might that be?
Irony.
Excuse me?
Irony. This was seen in the scene between Daniel and Ava. Too often, you let yourself in the format of your characters be controlled by it, especially during uncreative moments. For when you are fully creative, try using it as one more way to take hold of life. Used correctly, and no shame is needed for it. But if you feel yourself too familiar with irony, if you are afraid of growing familiarity, then turn to great and serious objects in front of what becomes small and helpless. What I'm saying is, a search into the depths of things for irony never descends. And when you arrive at the edge of greatness, find out whether this way of perceiving the world arises from a necessity of your being. As you can see exhibited here in the radio interview scene with Ava's victim's father on the radio.
I have seen this happen long before the idea of socially being trend competitive had taken priority of the youth. It used to be academics in the case of my Sydney. It's no longer the case.
Wait,
My daughter
is
always came as a primary example of what happens when competition to extreme measures can turn them.
I can't.
They
No.
strive for success, to overcome their age, and want to be the best, even when their parents provide.
What the? Why did you shut it off?
I thought this radio channel was supposed to give information, not useless talks and podcasts about what would have liked every other station.
It is just as important. Know the enemy's mind by knowing their foundational influences and past mistakes according to the doctor. Now, turn it back on.
The enemy? Who's the enemy here?
Society. The ones who forced us into a system where we were programmed. The ones who forced us into a system where we were programmed to just follow the basic
And that's why I still, to this day, hate public schools of this country. They were a system created by the shadow government behind the government to program mindless machines into human brains. I hunger for knowledge, but as Einstein expressed, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid.
Hold it. Stop. Wait. Stop the typing, Missy.
What?
This is becoming too personal and bold, Olive. Even for you.
And what makes you think this is too bold compared to all the other scenarios and authors?
Mentioning educational facilities, personal agendas, and so many overly stimulating forms of an apocalyptic mindset to society are no longer welcomed in this day and time. It's like walking on thin ice.
So what? It's all right for others to have other influences on their minds? And from what I recall correctly, you mentioned under the influence of serious things, it will either fall away from me or else it will go strong if not handled properly. And, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if I am such.
Yes, and it will become a powerful tool when wielded correctly. They are the instruments on which you could form your writing, which leads to the most important thing I want to discuss with you regarding the following scenes.
Ava. man on the radio mentioned a daughter. Her name. It was Ava. Are you? I think we need to turn this back on.
Why? It's an interview. It's worthless. He's delusional if he knows the entire truth of what happened to Sydney and how she...
Hold on. That man on the radio mentioned something about a competition. You mentioned that you were locked up due to...
I never said. I assumed.
Liar! I know you were the cause. I know you are a cause. I know you are, 'cause you are a woman capable of killing as much as I did. And you weren't drugged by a parent like I was. Now, I'm turning on the radio again, and this time we are not going to touch it. Have a rampage or anything that we both might regret later. You can defend yourself after that fact. Are we clear? Good.
It seems to me that almost all our sadnesses are moments of tension, which we feel as paralysis because we no longer hear our astonished emotions living. Because we are alone with the unfamiliar presence that has entered us, because everything we trust and are used to is for a moment taken away from us, because we stand amid a transition where we cannot remain standing. That is why the sadness passes. The new presence inside us, the presence that has been added, has entered our heart, has gone into its innermost chamber, and is no longer even there. It's already in our bloodstream, and we don't know what it was.
This is the recording of interviewed by Detective Elias Montroud of the SVU unit of Seattle, Washington, preparing to interview Ava Matthews with her mother. We appreciate you coming in at this time, Mrs. Matthews.
Nobody has yet to explain to me what this is all about. The only information I got was something to do with my daughter and Sydney Matthews, which we're both not related, of course. I mean, there are plenty of people with that last name after all. And...
Mrs. Matthews, your daughter was taken in under the circumstantial turned to evidence that your daughter was involved with the murder of Sydney Matthews.
Murder? I thought she... and what do you mean that Ava is involved with... They were friends. Weren't they?
Sydney was found with evidence of Ava's DNA in her nails and teeth.
How did you get her DNA? Did they give you anything?
The school volunteered by giving copies of her DNA code based on the drug testing program the school had.
What? My daughter isn't on drugs.
The file said otherwise. This test tested positive with a tiny dose of methamphetamines the night after November 6th.
So, when the school called?
Judging by the bandage around her wrist, your daughter also tried to eradicate a bloodied coat and leggings that were found in the garbage bins behind her school.
I'm glad she's dead.
Don't say things like that.
Why? It's the truth. Sydney was always the center of the spotlight. Scholarships thrown at her feet after the newspaper article.
You have a college fund, Ava. Scholarships at our head that we haven't even known about if they would accept.
That's not the point. There's no room for failures when it comes to a competition. No second place in the academic world. That's why the school roomed us together, so we could push each other to be best and be better than the other and best each other. Yet Sydney always came out on top. It wasn't fair. She barely studied. No, she never studied. And I worked so hard to get. Yet she was smarter than me, and she made it known to me.
Baby, that's not true.
But it is, Mom. I'm smart, but she's a genius, and she never allowed me to forget that fact.
Was she so cruel to you?
She wouldn't even talk to me. She turned and looked at me as if I was a simpleton, a waste of oxygen to share in a room with her.
Oh, baby. Come here.
I'm not a baby. I'm not stupid. I just wanted to be the best among them.
So, you just couldn't beat her? And that drove you...
It was an uneven advantage. She didn't even want to go. She just wanted to drop out like that loser Tristan. So why couldn't she allow me to win, Detective? Just one time. So that I could be the smartest kid at school. Every university, every college would want me. Just me.
Did you ever say this to Sydney?
I told you, she didn't speak to me. So I followed her to the docks, onto the ferry when she wanted to see Tristan, but she couldn't run away from me in the middle of the Seattle.
And okay, I think we had enough. Come on, Ava, let's go.
Stop telling me what to do! No! Don't tell me what to do! I'm sick and tired of the teeth of all the people around me. Tell me what to do, what to say, how to dress, how I should act, and act like I just wanted to talk to her. That's it! I didn't want it. I wanted to be done and over. I just wanted to take the next ferry back, but she just started to scream at me, asking me why I was following her. But she started screaming at me, asking me why I was following her. She called me a loser, and that I was a pathetic little rich girl who only got in through her daddy's money because I was dumb and worthless, that I could never be able as smart as her. She called me a loser, that I was a pathetic little rich girl who just got through with her daddy's money because I was dumb and worthless, and that I would never be as smart as her. She tried walking away, but I grabbed her by the arm and shoulders, and she pushed me, so I pushed back harder with my fountain pen in hand multiple times, over and over and over.
Did anyone else witness your fight?
Everyone was inside because it was cold and rainy. She attempted to scream, but no one came because they couldn't hear her, because of the commotion of music inside the ferry horn starting to blow. That's when she fell, and I pushed her in the ocean because I knew a pot of orcas would be here. I'm on top now, Mom. Just what Daddy wanted.
The interrogation ended up being one of the most intense I'd conducted in my 12 years in the field. We later found out that due to the nature of the crime, she was tried as an adult and given a life sentence. When I heard that as of a week ago, she was among the prisoners who were released as a means of aiding our nation, I was frightened for the poor sap who would face Ava Matthews and provoke her.
The school expected too much, and they believed that placing my daughter and Ava together would make their bond stronger. But after hearing that again, and reading Sydney's diaries later, it is true what you said, Doctor. The ones who love you are the ones who don't know you. Not gonna lie, ma'am. Sydney always was a spontaneous child, and was always looking for a hole to fill, and after her mother died of cancer when she was 7 years old. She treated my wife, her stepmom, more like a roommate, for she was just busy reading books that I didn't find. I found out later that was just too explicit, and the things got messy when she was 14. My wife and I worked a lot, and we had no idea what she was doing to this young man, who she just... From my little girl, I asked myself, how the hell did she... Ava Matthews became this nightmare to my poor girl, who was overloaded by her. But then out of the blue, an anonymous individual sent me an email under the administrator of the academy, exposing all the files
Enough.
that they kept locked away
Please,
from her
Daniel.
Chromebook.
Enough.
It turned out that my
Just
Sydney
turn it off.
made cheat sheets for all students, asking for $2,000 a sheet, or to meet this Triton for drug
How
exchange.
did your confession get into the air?
Sydney, that is, was a girl who just transferred in just because of a lucky shot on a placement test and her GPA score being above average by chance. Many claimed she was smart. Well, I was smarter. At least my 14-year-old mind thought I was smarter.
Sound like you had a reason to reach the top of the food chain.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, never mind.
Don't give me that. Tell me.
Well, it's just... I'd seen a lot of mean girls. Not just in the movie, mind you. But I never expected the smart ones to get so...
Twisted?
Not quite what I was thinking, but if you say so. You mentioned your daddy. Was he that type of person?
I'll give you credit for your guess. Looking back at it now, I was ambitious. I was always picked on, so I gave in to my studies. Books were always better than the public school kids, so I read on. My parents saw it and got me into this private academy. This is when my father, let's say, even when in the academy, nothing was ever good enough.
Well, I get the impression your daddy's the biggest fool for all he pressed on you.
Even so, I pressed myself harder than anyone ever seen. Sydney surpassed my grade points. I became more aggressive with not just my studies, but calling out on many of my peers for slacking on their studies. Many of them were too busy with online stuff, smuggling drugs, and sipping travel-sized cocktails.
And sneaking off. Don't forget about sneaking off to see guys. Sunshine, you should know by now that I'm a guy who saw too many girls sneaking off around with jocks. And before you argue, call this knowledge from a primary source in public schooling domain.
Shall I continue, or do you want to risk getting bludgeoned to death by a frying pan in the kitchen?
Is that your weapon of choice at the time, or are you a Tangled fan? Okay. Continue. Please.
My motivation was... I was competitive to extremes.
Competitive? I mean, before the program I saw, and I could tell you are one heck of a gal. You have the drive, but not...
Have the capability of murder? Yeah. Well, guess what? I did.
Honestly, not surprised after spending 24 hours with you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, you were in juvie for a good reason, and not for shoplifting, tomfoolery, or any guess I could come up with at the start. I listened to the introduction, after all.
Oh, sure, because I'm a woman. Is that it? Are you stereotypical? Having your lot taken away everything women fought for?
Hey! Easy, milady. I'm not judging. Okay, yes, I partly am. But that was all sarcasm. Just relax. It's just... all I was trying to say was that when I met you yesterday, you looked like a feisty girl. But from what I've heard, the kitty is a tiger. You have a temper with looks that kill.
That's the power of motivation, chemists. With rage, fear, disgust, and so much more, it will result in a reaction that cannot be contained.
Shh. I think someone's here.
No way. Really?
Now is not the time to be a gay smart aleck.
I'm not gay. I'm straight as an arrow.
I meant you being happy, snarky. Trying to speak the language of Shakespeare and this happens to you. I thought you were smart or something.
Shush. Shh.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you stop. Come on,
Olive?
let's get out of here.
Olive, hey. Are you okay?
No, I have a lot to rewrite, apparently. Hold on. Give me a minute.
Olive. Olive. Olive! Ah, you're pushing yourself too hard. I'm worried about you. Ugh. When was the last time you ate?
At lunch?
Yesterday's lunch?
What makes you think of... Oh. Are you my stalker now?
No. I just noticed you looked paler than a ghost. And when you are diverted from the necessities over the art, it's against everything I suggested.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Poetic Advisor, who is popular amongst all. But it's not easy. But it's no easy for a system that needs sense don't give a crap about.
That's the point. You are writing towards them, not for you. There is a massive difference, Olive.
Oh, I've been following every advice you gave that I have written down in my head. Walk into nature, read my Bible, look at other works, look for a mentor. Everything leading up to...
Leading to what?
To... I don't know. Rainer? I don't know. I don't know where to go for Ava and Daniel. I don't know where to go because many just... I feel like a little bit of like I failed. I can't, Rainer. I can't handle solitude. solicitude, solitude, like you do. I hate that I spent a lifetime keeping everything in my head like a cage. I want to release them. I want to soar. I'm tired. I'm tired of eating gravel.
Olive, hey, hush. Easy there. Easy. Just let it go. This is why it is so important to be solitary and attentive when one is sad. For the seemingly uneventful and motionless moment, when our future steps into us, is so much closer to life than that other loud and accidental point of time when it happens to us as if from outside. The quieter we are, the more patient and open we are in our sadness, the more deeply and serenely the new presence can enter us, and the more we can make it our own, the more it becomes our fate.
Please. Say something. Don't leave.
I am much too alone in this world, yet not alone enough to truly consecrate the hour. I am much too small in this world, yet not small enough to be to you just object and thing, dark and smart. I want my free will, and want it accompanying the path that leads to action, and want, during times that beg questions, where something is up, to be among those in the know, or else be alone. I want to mirror your image to its fullest perfection, never be blind or too old to uphold your weighty wavering reflection. I want to unfold. Nowhere I wish to stay crooked, bent, or there I would be dishonest and untrue. I want my conscience to be true before you. I want to describe myself like a picture I observed for a long time, one close up, like a new word I learned and embraced, like the everyday jug, like my mother's face, like a ship that carried me along through the deadliest storm.